third stream of the day, and maybe the last one, but it's kind of early in the night. It's only like 9 p.m. here, so even if I do for like an hour and a half, I honestly have more time to do another one later on. Yeah, so let's see what I want to do with it. I'm just gonna start now and finish up this section. Maybe like another hour and a half or something. And I'm just gonna reduce the mic volume now. Yeah. Also, I had dinner from this place called Mocha's. It's like super good. It's close by to my house. They have like daylight food and it's like really, really good. Let's get started.
Let's call it promise equals fetch. So let's add some new lines here as well as here to make the code a little easier to read. So we're basically calling fetch, which creates a promise, and then we're going to save this promise inside this variable. And then at the end of this function, we can just return the promise. So we're just going to return this whole promise out of the function, and then we can add even more steps after this promise. So down here, this is going to give us the promise, and then we can attach another step using dot then brackets, and inside here we can give it a function, brackets, arrow, and curly brackets. So this attaches another step to the end of this promise. So basically attaches another step here. So after we load all the products, let's just console.log next step and save. So we'll check the console and we'll see that we loaded the products. And then after we did the next step. So we can actually return a promise out of a function and then keep attaching more steps to that promise. So that's how we use fetch. It's a better way to make HTTP requests because it uses promises directly. So now let's use fetch in our project instead of using XML HTTP request. So first, let's comment out this code because we were just practicing. We'll type /star, and at the bottom, // and let's scroll up to. So first, let's comment out this code. Because we were just practicing, we'll type /star, and at the bottom, // and let's scroll up to load products fetch, and we're going to export this function so we can use it outside this file. Let's save. We'll go to the left and open checkout.js. And here, instead of using load products, which uses callbacks, let's switch to load products fetch, which uses promises. We'll scroll up and we're going to import load product. This is a question I get a lot. And commit. And we can give load cart a function to run when it's finished. So we'll type brackets, arrow, and curly brackets. Once load cart is finished, it runs this function, and then inside here, we're going to call resolve so that we move to the next step. So here, we'll call resolve and brackets. So now this will go to the next step, and we currently don't have a next step to this promise. So let's add the next step. At the end, to add another step, we're going to use dot then brackets, So you can see that fetch is a lot more. If we this time left, which uses promises. We'll scroll up and we're going to import load products fetch. So here we're already importing from products.js. We'll type a comma, load products fetch. And now we'll replace load products. So remember that we need to give this a promise. And also remember that fetch returns a promise. So all we need to do is to remove this code and just call load products fetch and brackets. This will return a promise and we can use it with promise.all. So now let's save. We'll check our website. And you'll see that everything is still working. So fetch helps us make our code a lot cleaner because it can return a promise directly, and we don't have to type out all of this extra code. Finally, let's use fetch inside our tests. On the left, we'll open order summary test.js. And remember that inside here, we used load products. So let's switch this to using load products fetch instead. First, we'll import it. At the top, we're importing from products.js. So we'll type comma and import load products fetch. And instead of load products, we're going to call load products fetch and brackets. So remember that this returns a promise, and we can attach more steps to this promise using the method .then and brackets. And we'll give .then a function to run. So brackets, arrow, and curly brackets. Once the products are finished loading, it's going to run .then, and inside here, we're going to call done to go to the next step of the test. So here, we'll just call done and brackets. And we'll remove the old code. So now let's save to make sure this is working. And we'll open the tests, go to the browser and open the tests. And the order summary tests should be passing. So now let's save our changes into Git. We'll open the Git section. Inside products.js, we learned how to use fetch, which returns a promise directly. Inside checkout.js, we used load products fetch inside our project. And in order summary test.js, we use load products fetch inside our tests. Let's create a message describing these changes. Convert load products from XHR or XML HTTP request to fetch and commit. Next, we're going to learn async await, which is an even better way to handle asynchronous code. Let's go back to our code and we'll open checkout.js. Currently, we're using promises to handle asynchronous code. But the problem with promises is that it creates a lot of extra code. For example, we need to create a new promise, we need to use resolve, and we need to use .then. Async await is a shortcut for promises, and it removes all this extra code. So let's do our first example of async await. We're going to scroll up, and at the top, we're going to create a function using function, and let's name it load page, brackets and curly brackets. And inside, we're going to console.log the string load page. And now we'll learn the first part of async await, which is async. In front of the word function, we're going to add the word async and space. So async makes a function return a promise. So this code is a shortcut for this code. It basically wraps the code in a promise. So now let's run this function to show that it actually returns a promise. So below this, we'll call load page and brackets. And because this returns a promise, we can add a next step to this promise using .then, brackets. And we'll give .then a function, brackets, arrow, and curly brackets. And inside here, let's just console.log the string next step. Now let's save, and we'll check the console. So we'll open the console, and you'll see that we loaded the page, and then in the next step, we displayed next step. So when we put async in front of function, it makes this function return a promise. This code is a shortcut for this code. Next, if we return something from this function, for example, we're going to return a value like the string value2. This gets converted into resolve value2. So this value is going to be saved in a parameter in the next step. So here, we'll add a parameter value, and value2 is going to be saved inside here. If we console.log the value,